Football Update. It's with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Loosemore.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that's Let's Talk Football. And you know who I'm here with. From August to this day, the national champion, Alex Loosemore. Alex, what's up, man?
Not too much, man. It's still, I don't think it's fully clicked in what actually happened. And I mean, obviously the news today and thinking about his last game, just kind of, it's all kind of coming together. So, obviously over the moon about everything that happened. Can't wait to see what happens with the rest of this team, who's staying, who's going, coaches included. And you can't wait for August to get right back at it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm just going to let you bask in that glory, bask in that excitement. You see the background, ladies and gentlemen, and rightfully so. They did what needed to be done. What's up, Scott? Saying first. And then sup, guys. Yo, we appreciate you guys being. Alex is a bully. What is this? What is this?
Hey, my team's a bunch of bullies, but play that bully ball. But
here we go. We're gonna get into that later. We're not talking about that right now. Yo, but look, we're here, and let's go ahead and say it right here. Congratulations, the Michigan Wolverines are 2024 national champions, the last of the college football playoffs. And what a way to end it. It was a solid game, but I mean, first and foremost, man, a Natty. The first outright national championship since what, like 1947?
48.
You had to go back?
But yeah, in the 40s, yeah.
Yeah, because the one in 97, you had to split, right?
Yeah, I believe we split with Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
After winning the Rose Bowl. I think they also went undefeated and won their bowl game. Yeah, I want to say it was Tennessee. But yeah, we split it with somebody.
Yeah. But the joy, I mean, talk to me. I mean, how are you? And you said it's, it's still kind of the glow, but in that moment when the final whistle blew, man, you were a champion. What are you thinking, man?
Yeah, for me, it really clicked in on that Saban still interception with a few minutes left. I shed a few tears at that point, just a few, and then it was just back to that pure joy of, okay, well, there's still a little bit of time, seeing Corum get that touchdown. And that kind of cemented my opinion that I said was a potential thought going into the game. To me, Corum is, I'll put it top 3, but I think there's a strong argument for him to be the greatest running back to wear the maize and blue.
Wow.
And I mean, you look at this team in general. This is by far the best defensive line we've had in the history of Michigan. One of the best overall secondaries.
Even better than the Aiden Hutchinson and Ajabo?
Oh, yeah. This D-line was 13 players deep. We rotated 13 guys in and out throughout the game. And, I mean, you had Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham were absolute game wreckers in the middle. And then you have Chris Jenkins, who's a borderline first-round pick, probably a second-round pick in this year's draft. And then you have Josiah Stewart, a transfer from Coastal Carolina. You have Jalen Harrell, who's a guy that's just been kind of a depth guy the last few years, came out and really showed himself this year. And that's only half the group. Yeah. So, and then you go, I mean, Mike Barrett was a dual threat quarterback coming into college. They transitioned him to a linebacker in Don Brown's defense, which was a safety. Kind of that safety slot corner, kind of nickel guy in Don Brown's defense. And when we switched to Mike McDonald and now Jesse Minter's defense, that position no longer existed. So instead of transferring out, he stayed, converted himself to an actual linebacker. Now has played the most games in the history of Michigan football. 6-year senior, started more games than almost anybody defensively. Now a national champion. Now he racked up all the accolades this year. You look at that secondary, you've got a guy, Mike Sainristil, who was a wide receiver And then after year 3, it was, hey guys, we need people on defense. And he just immediately volunteered, went to a DB, and just started to become a lockdown corner on that defense. Will Johnson, a guy that had offers to go pretty much everywhere in the country, chose to stay home. At that time, chose academics over potential winning. And now he's here, 1 loss in his entire college career, and defensive MVP of the national championship game. Yeah. Like, you've got so many of these guys that, whether they transferred in or stuck it out, those older guys were there for the first little bit of Harbaugh's tenure, where you weren't beating Ohio State. You were back and forth with Michigan State. You weren't beating Penn State. Most of these older guys were here for that COVID year where we went 2-6, 2-7, something like that. And they stuck it out. And they finally lived up to that Michigan saying of those who stay will be champions. It's the same reason Hutchinson stayed a few years back. These guys stayed, busted their tails, and got to this point.
Oh, yeah. I absolutely love that, man. I love that. Staying, the loyalty, the keeping with that. But even those older guys doing it. And come on, man. Like, we can talk about all the scandals. We can talk about all the other stuff. But the fact of the matter is, you have a team that is truly gelled together. And they've come together. And it's not just this year. It's a culmination. And I love that you brought up Hutchinson. I love that you brought up those guys, because they built the culture that was going to get you to the national championship. It was going to do it. I mean, let's be very honest. You know, when you go the first year, lose to Georgia, you go the second year, lose to TCU. A lot of going to back, I can say this, North Carolina did it in basketball. Going to back-to-back national championships is not easy at all. To do that, but to do it to 3 different times, going to the CFP essentially and getting to the precipice, getting into that top spot, and it just shows that will. That, you know, I'm gonna steal a phrase from your little brother. That's Spartan will, but still, Michigan can have the will as well. I gotta add him in. You understand my play right now, right?
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it just adds to it, man. Like, and I mean, I think it starts with Harbaugh. It starts with your head coach, your main guy, man. Talk to me about your guy.
Matt, to me, he's put himself at that status of a Bo Schembechler, of a Lloyd Carr, these elite coaches in Michigan history. He might be number 1. I'd probably put him right there with Bo as kind of 1A, 1B, in my personal opinion. But what he did when everyone, and I've even said this before, I was having thoughts of, has Jim done all he can do, and is it time to move on after that COVID season? And he takes that pay cut, accepts that, you know, what we were doing isn't good enough, makes the change of moving on from Don Brown, and kind of goes back and forth with his brother. And the last few years, they've been switching defensive coordinators. He had, going into that 2021 season, he had, John Harbaugh had Jesse Minter and Mike McDonald, who wanted to get them defensive coordinator experience, so they were going back to the college level. He told Jim to take his pick, chose Mike McDonald. Jesse Minter went to Vanderbilt to get the experience. Mike McDonald did so well, John took him back after 1 year. And then he brought Minter back in, and Minter's done the same thing. He's just elevated this defense, made it. They're doing NFL style schemes. They're showing guys, dropping back into coverage. They're mixing the coverages up. They're doing so many things that you don't really see at the college level. And these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are doing it at a very good level. And the thing I love about Harbaugh is he puts these guys like a Sharon Moore, like a Jesse Minter, like the rest of the coaches on this staff. He empowers them to just kind of do them. I mean, you look at Sharon Moore after that Penn State game, you don't really see head coaches basically sobbing after a game and swearing on national television.
Swearing.
And he allows them to be them and allows them to grow and develop. And honestly, when he says in the next 5-10 years, the majority of these guys on the staff will be head coaches, I kind of tend to believe him because of what he's doing as a developmental program for these coaches. So just what Harbaugh does for everyone around him. You see so many college coaches that seem to kind of be about themselves. And I mean, you saw it in the interviews after the game. Every answer Harbaugh had was, it's great for the team. It's great for the players. It's great for Michigan. There was anytime they tried to ask him about his legacy, he deflects. He's such a selfless guy. He's everything that he's made this Michigan program. He's built it in his image, and it's been so successful. I actually like Brady Hoke before there. I like that list, Ben.
There you go. Yeah, hey, greatest Michigan head coaches in order. Number 1, Bo Schembechler. Number 2, Jim Harbaugh. 3, Lloyd Carr. And 4, Brady Hoke. Actually, Ohio State. I can dig it. Thank you, Ben Cornett. Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, check it. Like his dad said, who's got better than y'all?
One, did you hear the story behind that they said during the game on Monday?
No.
So the reason Jim has that where he yells it to the team after the game or after both championship games, yelled it to the fans and everything, is Jack. He's right. They got it from Jack. He instilled that in them. Anytime they were shoveling snow or carrying groceries or doing chores or stuff you don't really want to do as a kid, he would yell that to them and make them answer back, no, buddy, because he's showing them, and it's instilled in them now, that even though your times are tough, and for Jim, even though you're losing to an Ohio State and sometimes a Penn State and a Michigan State and not where you want to be, that there are so many people that would kill for your situation. You've got it great. Make the best out of the situation you've got and turn that negative into that positive. Jack instilled that in them from the very beginning. And you've seen both those guys, Jim and John, instill that in their programs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I saw the tree of Natty's, because Jim said, "Oh, now I can eat at the big boys table now," because he's got a championship. If those of you don't know, Jack, their father, took Western Kentucky when they were in FCS to the national championship, got a W. Obviously, we know about the brothers matchup in the Ravens Super Bowl when they got their win, and then now Jim got his. So I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, all we need is my Bucks and Lions can't do it. Have the Ravens win the Super Bowl and both Harbaugh brothers dominate the college and NFL in 2023.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm also here for the rumors that Harbaugh might be coming to the nation's capital.
I think if he's going to the NFL, I think that's a sneaky one that makes a ton of sense.
Come on,
I think it really does.
Come on. I love it. But look, let's dive back into this game. Let's talk about this game because honestly, after maybe like right after the third quarter, I think all the kind of sweating was over. I think it was you kind of felt it. And it started very early in that ball game. We said, the game plan that they had against Alabama, where, let's try to pass early. Let's try to do that. That wasn't it. That wasn't going to work here. And I think, they passed. No, don't get it twisted. McCarthy had a couple nice passes early in those drives, but when they handed the ball off, there was a very distinct difference on each of the plays. You see that first play, they ran the sweep to the left with the two guys, and everything was blocked up, and Corum just kind of easily got a quick 7. And there's a certain part in the game, and this as well as I do, being an O-lineman and a running back. When you get that first little power or that first cross buck or wham, and you get 6 or 7 yards, and you kind of come back to the huddle and you look at each other like, we can do this all day. Like that's there all day. And you kind of encourage the coaching staff, run the ball because it's there. And as we saw, it was wide open, man. Talk about that run game, man.
Yeah, and I mean, what a game from Donovan Edwards, too, who hasn't really done much of anything since the Ohio State game of the 2022 season. And, I mean, he showed speed that he hasn't shown all season. He showed vision that he hasn't seen all season.
Yes.
And, I mean, for this offensive line to get a hat on a hat, time in and time out, and just impose their will on that Washington defense, who has been okay against the run, but not great. They're good in that interior. So to be able to run inside on those guys is very impressive. And to do what you want, go inside, outside. The run game was there for the majority of the game. So, I mean, whether it was Corum getting over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, or Edwards getting over the 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, Kalel Mullings, the third running back, was solid when he got in too. So, anytime they wanted to run the ball, they did it well.
Yeah. Didn't you, if I'm not mistaken, you had the highest total yards rushing in the national championship game, right?
Yep.
303.
Pushed Ohio State down to number 2. From that, oddly enough, from that first college football playoff national championship.
Yeah.
So the Big Ten won the 2 bookends of it, and those were the 2 best rushing performances.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Ohio State, have you updated your let me take down the banner.
I don't have it on there. I will grab it very quick. I think we're 1,502 days today since the last time Ohio State beat Michigan.
Wow. You hear the Ohio State?
Yep.
The Ohio State? Maybe we should cut off that the.
I mean, they got a damn good running back that we got to go up against next year. So not excited about that. But we'll see what next year holds.
But if we've learned anything from Ole Miss, he might be a problem in the locker room.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it is. Johnny.
Yeah. And we beat him 3 years in a row. So
boom. That was a great defensive game for 3.5 quarters. Loved it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. It was a blowout. I mean, look, and McCarthy didn't have to do much because the running game literally took over. You had 2 guys, like you said, over 100 yards. They both had 2 touchdowns. That game was amazing. But I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. We can't overlook the defense. And the funny thing is, like, there was a couple missed opportunities. There was that one play where Dunze they turned the guy around and he was wide open, but Penix missed him. But I want to go into that drive. You guys, I think we're up 14-3. They drove down the field. Or no, it was 7-0. They drove down the field. They get in the red zone and they ran like a crossing route. And they had it where they thought it was man to man, and Sammer still was sitting over there on that right, and he could have crossed with them, and Dunze would have been wide open. But you could show him on the video saying, nope, I'm staying right here. And he shut down that play and forced the field goal. And I mean, it's little things like that pay attention to. The defense was beautiful, especially that secondary.
Yeah, well, I mean, the part that gets even more impressive about it is you've got 4 or 5 guys you're playing at corner and 4 or 5 guys you're playing at safety, and the coverage tends to not miss a beat regardless of who's in there. So, I mean, obviously it's more important that Will Johnson and Mike Sainer still are in there, but the rest of those pieces you can kind of move around, and the coverage is still really, really good. Keon Sabb, who hardly played this year, was an instrumental piece of that coverage on Monday night. He was phenomenal. I'm so glad he's back next year. And it's just, and that's where I was kind of talking those NFL style schemes where you lock up man coverage for so long, and then it truly shows as that zone where you pass it off. And their communication, their ability to just on the fly switch is so phenomenal. It's so impressive what Jesse Minter and all these coaches have done with this defense. And it's so impressive of the players to be able to pick it up. Like we talked about on Saturday going into the game, or Friday night, it was 2 NFL style potential first round receivers. One's probably a top 15 pick, Rome Odunze, who at worst is the 3rd best receiver in college football this year. And then Jalen McMillan, McMillan and Polk, and can't remember the tight end's name, but he is very solid too. All 4 of those guys are NFL level targets. Some of them might go later in the draft and be kind of rotation guys, but those are still NFL level targets. And you've got an NFL level quarterback in Penix making these reads, and these 2 stats I'm about to give are just, when you look at the last 5 games we played in Ohio State, the last 7 games, Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State, Iowa, Alabama, Washington, and then you take into effect that the entire season we did not allow a team to score 25 points. And we ended up with the 5th lowest points per game allowed in college football history. And then we did not allow a single passer to hit 300 yards passing. That includes Michael Penix. So just what this secondary has been able to do, and what this D-line has been able to do. Like, when you have Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham as defensive tackles, getting pressure, snap in and snap out, getting sacks. I mean, Kenneth Grant's a 350-pounder that moves like he's about 280.
I see
that.
Yeah.
Mason Graham's just a bowling ball. He is relentless. To me, he's Aiden Hutchinson if he had another 60, 70 pounds on him.
Yeah.
That's what I see in Mason Graham. And then that plethora of edge rushers, like I was saying before. And I haven't even talked about the linebackers. So, I mean, what this defense has done as a whole, and it goes into what this team is. And right into that famous Schembechler speech, it's the team, the team, the team. They're all about playing for one another.
There you go. There's
no solo superstars out there. It's all playing together as that one collective unit.
And go ahead, man. And it is that. It's the culmination of it all coming together, and you guys are on top. And I'm sorry, man. I know in my household I might get in trouble for this, but I don't think there's a better champion. And there's a classier group of guys that have fought through all this turmoil and all this craziness. And I'm just happy for you. And also, a party ain't a party without other people. We got to bring in somebody else that loves your team as much as you do. Miss Kate.
What's going on,
How you
Kate?
doing, Kate?
Hello.
Champion. How you doing, champion?
I'm on cloud 9 and I might not ever come down.
Love it.
I was in Ann Arbor watching the game on Monday night.
Oh.
I was amongst the crazies on Main Street singing Mr. Brightside.
Yeah.
Cheering our boys on.
Oh, and that, just to kind of go into something about Monday that I was so impressed with, it felt like a home atmosphere for both teams. Like when Mr. Brightside played and that stadium was roaring, and it was 3rd down for Washington and that stadium's roaring. And when it was 3rd down for Michigan and that stadium's roaring, and when they're doing the who let the dogs out and all the fans are woofing along, and it was a wild atmosphere. It was so fun to watch. And I think even if you weren't a Michigan fan or a Washington fan, that was just such a cool experience. Game.
Definitely. And what was really cool is I've become good friends with like our linebacker, Mikey Barrett's parents. I love that boy with all my heart and soul. Like, I talk to him a lot after games. We break it down. And I told him, I said, "You're going to be a national champion this year." And he goes, "We are?" I said, "You're going to be a national champion this year, Mike." And God bless got everything in America that I was right. But I told those boys, I said, "You're destined for greatness," whenever I'd see them. And I got to talk to Mikey Sanders still after games. I got to talk to a lot of them. And I said, "You're destined for greatness."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Team 144 is going to be the team that wins it all for us.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I knew JJ needed the off season to just be the focus on him. There was no competition going into the season. It was strictly him. His mindset was there all season long. Those boys' mindset was there all season long. When Mikey Sanders still said he was coming back, I knew that would just be the domino to bring back Zinter, to bring back Keegan, to bring back Barrett, to bring back Jenkins, to bring back Blake.
And
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I just knew. I knew. And when you know those boys and you get to know those boys, because they're great boys, you know the chemistry was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The chemistry was perfect. Our offensive coordinator, Sharon Moore, I looked at him at the spring game last year and said, "This is the team that's going to do it all." And he said, he goes, "Are you sure?" I said, I bet my life on it. I said, "I know this team is destined for greatness." All of the pieces were there. All of the perfect pieces. Our linebackers between Junior and Mikey, perfect. Still and Will Johnson, perfect. That defense, those boys played their lights out all season long. Played in perfect chemistry all season long. Will Johnson, I've never seen such a laser focused young man when he's out on that field. I made it to every home game. I've went to Indianapolis. I've seen them in person do this. And they're always laser focused. And they are all about each other. It's not about anyone going out getting a Heisman Trophy. It's all about the team. They know not one of those boys after they're done with a game will say it was because of my performance. It was because of this. They're all about giving each other the accolades. Coach Harbaugh, they love that man with all their heart. They played their heart out those 6 games he wasn't coaching. Played their hearts out for him. Sharon Moore coached 4 hell of a games this season. I mean, everything was there. Everything was there. And you, amongst Connor Stallion cheating accusations, amongst everything, never did they crumble. Never did they ever see a crack in saying this is going to break us down. And that's why I love Team 144. I don't usually say individual names. It's all about Team 144. And I watched their ceremony back at Schembechler last night and watched Coach Harbaugh just call out people and to speak and everything. And not one of those boys said anything other than it's all about the team. And like the fact that those are such good boys. Blake Corum carries around a Bible and that's what he reads before a game. Those kids are so grounded in their faith in God, the faith in their team, the faith in their coaches. It's, to me, the most beautiful chemistry I've ever seen of any team in Michigan history.
Nice.
By far.
Love that.
I mean, they're so grounded in each other. And like I see some of the people that wait on the team, like the chefs, the cooks, and everything, and they're such good boys. They clear their tables. They say please and thank you. They're humble as can be. But great men, great young men. So if there's any team that deserved to win a championship, it was them.
Love it.
And it's not because I love Michigan, it's because I know their hearts. I've seen their hearts in action. I've talked to them. I've personally talked to a lot of them after games and got to know them, and just perfect human beings. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. They call me ma'am. I mean, it's just so sweet. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for coming to the game. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you was always one of the first things I ever came out of their mouths was thank you, Kate, for coming. Thank you for supporting us. Just good boys.
Amen. Love
And
that.
and I'm blessed that I've been able to get to know a lot of them, get to know their families. Got to have a great interaction in Indianapolis with Chris Jenkins' mom. And we both sat there and cried because of our love for these boys and these men. Got to talk to Mikey Sandristill's parents after the game in Indianapolis and got to share my heart for how I feel for their son. And we had a moment, and it's just a family. We're all family. That's the thing about Michigan is we're family. Family first. We all just love Michigan and we love those boys. And like, oh my gosh, we were at Buffalo Wild Wings watching that game and I saw how we were lined up and I saw how they were lined up. I said, Mikey's picking. Mikey's going for the pick. The Buffs are coming out. And I knew the Buffs were coming out that night. And I have so many receipts on X right now of Oregon fans that were like, you don't know, you haven't played them. The Penix and those wide receivers are lights out. There's no way you can shut them down. I said, you haven't met the blue wall of Michigan's defense and you haven't met Jesse Minter. So I knew. I woke up confident. I woke up confident that morning that we were winning that night.
Yeah.
And Sean, you know my love for my boys.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted you to come on here. I wanted you to say your piece. And hey, Kate, congratulations to you, to the Michigan Wolverines 2024. You said it in our intro, our college football intro video. You said you got this running back, Blake Corum. We've seen what he's done.
Isn't he great?
Yes, he's amazing. From the Virginia area, from Virginia. I love that.
Blake the Great.
Yeah, but I wanted you to just come on and say your piece, and I appreciate you coming on here and speaking your piece on your team. And congratulations one more time.
Thank
to
you,
your Michigan Wolverines. Go blue, baby.
Alex, I got one question for you. Who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
It's great to be a Michigan Wolverine bet.
Damn right.
I can say it. All right, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Kate. Let's go. Yeah, buddy. That was Kate Alverson hopping on. Definitely shouting her out and her Michigan Wolverines. But yo, let's talk about it real quick. Our last one of the season. Game ball. Who is your game ball in the national championship, man?
To me, I split it between two people, and I've said their name a few times tonight. To me, it's Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. Ooh. Those guys in the middle, when Dylan Johnson was in, they shut down that run game. They made Washington one-dimensional, and they pushed the interior of that pocket and made Penix have to make decisions he didn't want to make him throw the ball early. There was multiple times where they'd show replays of if Penix had another second or two, that ball was going deep. And it was a guy that tight end sneak through the middle of the coverage, and they'd have the perfect play set up to beat whatever coverage we had. But because we had those two guys pushing the pocket from the middle, Penix didn't have the time to make those throws. There's so many clips from this game of all of a sudden you see a guard or the center on his backside because one of them just bowled him over and is making his way towards the quarterback. These two were absolute game breakers. They're both back next year, and they're going to do it all over again next year. Had to show these guys some loves. The Rose Bowl defensive MVP and Kenneth Grant get my game ball.
I love it. I love it. And normally I know everybody would think, hey, you're going to go running back. You're going to go Blake Corum. You're going to go John Edwards. Not doing that. I'm not doing that right now. I'm going to bring up somebody I mentioned. I've been shouting out this defense for the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to go Mike Samerstill. Led your team in tackles with 6 of them solo. He, in my opinion, a lot of the things on him, he might not have the interception fumble, but it's the little things. It's the communication. It's the being able to go and talk to different people. It's the being able to, one of the biggest things I saw from him is once Washington, there was a drive where Washington started really passing the ball and getting down the field, and their wide receiver started to chirp a little bit. And they in one particular catch near the red zone, catches it, gets up and gets right in the guy's face. Mike Samerstill makes a beeline to his corner, gets right in between them, and just walks him away. That's here. That's something that he realizes. Don't get in a talking match with them. No, we have a job to do. Even when Samerstill was the one who there was one where he got the pass interference call or something like that, and the wide receiver was barking. He just, he was kind of like, mad at myself, and then just walked back to what he was supposed to be doing. And that's a leadership. That shows character, and that is bigger, in my opinion, than any play, this or that. And like I told you, that first play where it could have easily been 7-7, and all of a sudden we might have a shootout on our hands. He stopped that, and then all of a sudden you have to go for a field goal, which they almost missed, if I'm not mistaken. I think that first one kind of curved out, and then
each team's back. First kick, it was heading out, and then it hooked in. Both teams had a kick like that. So,
so I got to show him love on that one.
I love that you brought that mentality up about Samerstill, because for me, there's so many guys on both sides of the ball that are like that, but for me, the main guy on the offensive side that may not get all the big numbers, but he's there to do his job and make sure everyone else does their job, it's Roman Wilson.
Yeah.
He's a guy that, for so many weeks, he was tied for the lead in touchdowns in the nation. And then all of a sudden you saw this run-heavy offense come back into form. And there were no complaints. There was no pouting. There was no whining. Yep. And he did his job. He's a willing blocker. He's a good blocker. And when his time comes, like it did late in the Rose Bowl, he shows up. Until then, he just puts his nose to the dirt and does his job. And there's so many guys like that on this team that, I'll bounce exactly like what Kate said. This has been my favorite iteration of Michigan football for all the selflessness and all the just team football that has been played.
Oh, I can dig it. And look, all right, you just won it. You're still basking in your glory. It hasn't hit yet, but people like Johnny and the rest of the world want to know, what are you expected from next year? Like, can you repeat?
I can't say what I expect until I know what the heck is going on with Harbaugh and JJ. And even some of those seniors, we know that extra COVID year, there's seniors that could come back. Obviously, someone like Mikey Barrett's gone, 6-year senior. He can't come back. There's some of those guys that for sure are gone. But there's a bunch of those seniors that could come back. And obviously we don't know what's going on with JJ. And there's so many potential changes. And I think one of the underrated ones that people aren't paying attention to, that I can pretty much guarantee if Harbaugh leaves, he's taking Jesse Minter with him. So we're looking for a new DC.
Oh yeah.
So there's so many moving pieces. We could be out almost 60 guys from this team this year. And that's just players, not coaches. So I can't really say what I expect until I know who's leaving.
Right. He said, "Why? Why you say people like Johnny say that? I mean, because you instigate, Johnny. What are you talking about? You know better. Come on, man."
Say, you know damn well why he said it like that.
Oh, and he said, "You better leave Dan Lanning alone." Oh, you think who? Obama?
Yeah,
he said
he's the odds-on favorite so far.
Oh man! Oh, as a matter of fact, so this is long overdue. This is something I had planned to play for you a while ago, but it just did not work out. When you were not on the show, our guy Alec had a little quick message for you.
This is a message to Alex Loosemore. Win the damn game, man.
He won. He did it. He listened to you. All right. Yo, we real quick. We do have to move on. Shoot, I should have kept Kate on, but we're all good. College football storylines, and obviously we can talk about the transfer portal. You talked about Keyshawn Junkins going to Ohio State. Bauman getting the extra year, the 7th year of eligibility at Oklahoma State. I mean, come on.
That's a former Michigan guy too.
Right. So there's different things we can talk about, but there's only one.
There's one.
There's one thing we're gonna talk about. I can't believe it still. I'm still waiting for that gotcha message that said, we're just joking. He'll be back next year. But as of right now, news says Nick Saban has retired from Alabama. 7 natties.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. What did Harbaugh beat him that bad? Did it hurt his feelings that bad? I mean,
I don't know. And there's a bunch of these coaches, the old school coaches, the ones that have been around for a while. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to start to see more of them leave, whether it's retirement or going to the pros like a Jim Harbaugh eventually will, if it's not this year. There's so many of these guys that hate the NIL, hate what the transfer portals become, hate that college football isn't what college football used to be anymore. And I think, we've said all year, even though there was something like 25 5-stars on Saban's team, this felt like one of his least talented teams, maybe ever at Alabama.
Yeah.
And obviously credit to him for still getting into the playoff, knocking off Georgia, all that. But even though it went to overtime and it was a 1-touchdown game, Michigan dominated Alabama for the majority of that game. Right. So you're starting to see, obviously the gap between Alabama and Georgia closed a couple years ago, but now you're starting to see that gap close with a lot of teams at Alabama. So I think this is kind of the thing we talk about with athletes where he retired, I think, at the perfect time because you're going to start, I think had he stayed a couple more years, you're going to start to see Bama slowly kind of drop. Yep. And it's that athlete staying a couple years too late. So I think this was Saban walking away at the right time where he's still, at worst, like the second best coach in college football history. It's him and Bear Bryant are 1 and 2. Right. However you want to dish it, they're 1 and 2. Obviously, whether you're an Alabama fan, even a Michigan State fan, an LSU fan, or fans of rivals of that team, you can't help but just respect what Nick Saban brought to college football, what he did for college football. He made Alabama into that brand name again, where even if you don't know college football, you know Alabama and you know that that's an elite program. And there's nothing to say but just thank you, Nick Saban, for what you did for college football.
Oh, absolutely. Whether you were on the buzzsaw side of it, like SEC teams, where he just went through you guys year after year, and he constantly did it that way, or you were one of these teams like a Notre Dame that had this great season, and then it looked like it was you weren't playing anybody. Yeah,
twice against them.
Come on now. And it's crazy because now that the CFP is ended and we're going to the 12 team playoff, they showed, the look at, all the years of who's won the championship. And it would be like, it was Ohio State, Bama, Clemson, Bama, Clemson, Bama. You know what I mean? And then it went down there, and it was just like every year. And even the one year, the first year of Georgia, Bama was in the game, but still lost the game.
Yeah.
And it just shows, just the absolute greatness. And maybe it is for the simple fact that times are changing and everybody is catching up now. It's not just the Georgia, it's not just the Clemson, it's everybody. And that transfer portal and NIL, coaches are moving. They've always had to live up to that bar. Yeah. You got to be that building up of that dynasty like Saban did. And now you're starting to see teams, these perennial powers, start to do that. And, maybe Saban felt his job is done. I got my team up here. I got the least talented team up to this spot. Within we held in regulation against the eventual national champions. It's like, I've done what I need to do. And let's think about this right now. We could be in a year where not only does Saban leave, we don't know what's going on fully with Bill Belichick, if he's going to leave. And then we know Pete Carroll just got shown the door. Right. We know what he's done in college. And to this day, he stands as the only coach that's won a national championship and a Super Bowl. So since I don't know if that's all time, maybe that's since a certain point, but no, because Switzer won a national championship and he won a Super Bowl. And then Jimmy Johnson, I don't know if Jimmy Johnson. I think he won a national. Did he win Oklahoma State, I think?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it was in the last so many years or whatever. But what else can you say about the man? It's who all the teams and all the coaches strive to be. And I think the only other question you can ask is who replaces him?
I think you got to look at the multitude, and this is the other reason Saban's so good. Look at the multitude of coordinators that he sent out to be head coaches elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Lanning, Dabo, Kirby Smart, Jimbo Fisher, and that's just 4. And he's had Bill O'Brien in and out. Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator, who had 6 different stints over 40 years, just walked away. There's so many different amazing head coaches that learned from Harbaugh. Steve Sarkisian's another one.
Yeah.
Who was struggling both on and off the field, went to Saban as an assistant, and Saban helped him find the way, built him back up. And now Sarkisian's doing amazing things at Texas. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And I think the other impressive thing is all these guys left and tried to take their shot at taking down Nick Saban. And it happened, 3 times?
Yeah, right. It was Jimbo. It was Kirby. And then that was it, right?
Yeah. I guess, Dabo didn't coach under him. Dabo played at Alabama. That's the difference. Yeah. So that was my third. But Jimbo and Kirby. And that's it. Oh, no, Sarkisian as well. Sarkisian.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, got him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was just this year. So that,
And how long has he been coaching?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, if you look at the betting odds right now on it, in order, the top 4, because it was who was Alabama's head coach in 2024, the odds-on favorite was Nick Saban stay. So, second, Dan Lanning, the head coach at Oregon.
Oh.
Dabo was next. Bill O'Brien was second.
Oh.
Dabo Sweeney was third.
Okay.
Mike Norvell was fourth. And next in, jumping from Florida State to Alabama, even though historically Florida State, right now, Alabama is one of the very few places where you leave a job to go for. And fifth, if I'm not mistaken, one Kalen DeBoer that just coached the national championship game. He was up there. I don't know if he was next or 2 down, but he was right there as well. So, I mean, obviously, phenomenal head coaches. Bill O'Brien, he coached at Penn State, if I'm not mistaken, right? He was the one before James Franklin.
I thought so.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have guys that have done really well at the college level, and now it's like, okay, who's stepping up to follow this era's GOAT? Who is doing it? I know I wouldn't want that job personally, trying to follow what Saban did.
No way.
Whoever did it, they got some stones down there. And I can't wait to see who does it, because that is a tall task to follow.
Oh yeah. Scott saying Tom Brady to Alabama.
A Michigan man going to coach there.
He ain't doing that.
I think it's gonna be a former Bama coordinator, or Dabo, who played there, is my guess.
This is from our guy, Mr. Alex Schaumburg, who he's reacting to that second name on that list, Mr. Dan Lanning, potentially.
Now, to be fair, he was also the betting favorite at A&M and immediately said, I'm not leaving Oregon.
Yeah.
That they're paying me well. I love what's going on here. I love the guys I've got here. So it's going to take a lot to get Dan Lanning to leave. But obviously a school like Bama can get a lot to get him to leave. So
Oregon A&M ain't Bama. So I'm gonna give our guy a shot. I'm gonna give our guy a shot to say his piece. Alex, go ahead and speak your mind, brother.
It's more than peace. I'm talking about every time we have our set head coach. Every freaking time. We had Mark Helfrich. He brought us to the national championship. What'd he do? Left. Got another coach. That was the worst decision we ever made in our life. Then we got another coach, Dan Lanning. And I started building the culture up. And then you want to say, oh, yeah, he's like, have these betting odds. Bump the betting odds. Stay with the team that you built up. I'm tired of going 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. I'm tired of it. It happens all the time with us. How do you expect to build a culture if coaches keep leaving? I'm sick and freaking tired of it. I'm tired of it. Send Bama to the sun, man. Bump that coaching position. Send them to the freaking sun. Stay away from my coach. He is staying in Oregon, in the green, in the Big O.
Hey, if I have to answer questions about my coach leaving, so do you. So
I actually defended you.
I know, and I'm about to defend you. I feel with all my heart that Dan Lanning is staying. With how he immediately shut down A&M and how he specifically said he is staying, I truly believe that Dan Lanning is staying at Oregon. And it just reminded me the other thing I wanted to throw in. The other coach that was there with Kalen DeBoer on the betting odds was the other coach that he failed to mention his name, Mario Cristobal, was the other one.
Don't remind me about him. He wasn't our coach.
The only reason I reminded you of him because he might bite the bullet and go to Bama instead of Dan Lanning. So,
please let him go there. I would laugh every single day. I would love that. I would love nothing more than him to go to a team that's meant to win and then have losing seasons with that bozo as a coach. And by the way, thank you, Sean, for giving me my flowers.
Oh yeah,
that someone finally seen it. So you know what? I told Alex on Monday. I was like, you know what? Maybe if I would have for Washington when we play against Oregon, Oregon probably would have won. Because when I tried to cheer for that man and it took every inch of me to. Oh my gosh! Like the fact that everybody's seen it for the waste of talent he is. He's not it, Sean.
I couldn't disagree with you more. I
saw it.
He's not it, Sean. He's not it.
The proof's on the tape, Alec. I was wrong. I saw it.
But everybody was like gunning for my head saying, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. Washington's going to keep it close. I'm just like, he's not it, Sean.
Look, let me say this. While I'm giving you your flowers about that, let me also give you your flowers about Georgia. You told us all year that they were fraudulent. You said when a team of that caliber comes up against them, they were going to handle that situation. And you were absolutely right. And it just so happens that the man that we're talking about is one that led that team. So give it to you again, my guy.
But that's all I gotta say. I mean, it's just like with Michael Penix, it's just and all that stuff with Oregon. Like I've been getting it all day. Everybody's like, "Oh, or like Dan Lanning, Alabama." I'm like, I'm not trying to take 2 steps forward and then 5 steps back. I'm tired of it. It's how do you expect players to stay with this team? That's how we lost recruits last time. Once because when Mark Helfrich was on our team, we went to the national championship. That's when we had the best recruits for the next season. Once he left, we lost 16.
They scattered.
Players.
Yeah.
We lost 16 players. And that was the year that Mariota was probably going to stay another year. He was thinking about it. But when Mark Helfrich left, what else was he to do? And then you get all these other coaches that mean jack nothing.
Yep.
You expect people to lace them up for Mario Cristobal?
Yeah.
I ain't lacing up. I ain't even walking on the field with that man.
I mean, there's one thing I'll give Mario Cristobal credit for. He built those trenches up real well for you guys.
He ain't built a quarterback.
The skill positions faltered a little bit, but he built those trenches to what they've been the last few years because he knows recruiting those trenches. I mean, I got one of the guys that's proof to that pudding in Panay Sewell. So I can't knock him for what he does with the trenches, but obviously what Oregon's known for, he slacked on that, the speed, the finesse, the skill to it, but the power side of it, he does very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be and thankfully I will not be here next season because I saw my schedule next year and we play a certain team in Ann Arbor.
Ooh.
So thankfully I will be on deployment.
See,
sorry about that.
People were asking my what I see for Michigan next year. What I see for the Big Ten is legitimately, I see Oregon as the Big Ten champ next year. I do.
You know what? It would be the most Oregon thing to do to go to a
play it, Sean. Play it.
I'm doing it. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it.
That make me crazy.
I couldn't find it fast enough.
That will be the most Oregon thing to do. Like, you know what? He's going on deployment. Let's go win the Big Ten championship. Let's go to the Natty when he's on deployment, so he can't enjoy any of it.
I mean, they're joining at the perfect time. Washington's losing so many pieces. Michigan could lose half their team this year. Ohio State lost a bunch of their key pieces. USC's rebuilding. Oregon plays that Big Ten style football. And I think they could catch a lot of these teams in a year where the Big Ten's ripe for the picking. And I think Oregon could be the team to do it. You've got veteran quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel. And I mean, you've got Dante Moore, who would start for over half the teams in the country as your backup. Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, I think Oregon, with the recruiting class they've had, with the veterans they still have, and I mean, it's all still reliant on Dan Lanning still being there. But yeah, that's the real question. I do think Oregon is your Big Ten champions in 2024. I really do.
Don't tell my mom that, because she's on cloud 9 with the Michigan stuff. Sure, I went to the.
Hey, we got the Natty. We got this. You
guys are good.
Yeah, because
now
she went.
If we return a bunch of the guys, Harbaugh, JJ, all those guys, I think it's Michigan, Oregon in the Big Ten title game. But
I can't. I don't think I'm gonna handle that.
And then we'll have to see what happens.
Now, hold up. No, there might be another green team that's gonna show up in the Big Ten. That's all I'm gonna say right now.
Give them 2-3 years.
Let's go.
Give Jonathan Smith 2-3 years to build up that program, and they are going to be very tough to deal with again. That was a great hire. What he's done this offseason, he's done a phenomenal job for East Lansing. And I can't wait for that game. Sorry, Sean, Kat, any other Spartan fans I know. I can't wait for that game to be competitive again.
Yeah.
I want these games to be like the Ohio State game, where it's like okay, it's not just that check off. Yeah, okay, I know we're winning. I can tune out at halftime, whatever. I want to be able to sit and watch these games start to finish because they mean something, and there's so much on the line.
And they're great football. When those are good games, those are great football games.
The last time Michigan State was good, that Kenneth Walker year, that was a phenomenal Michigan State game. Phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it took 5 touchdowns for him to get that dub, and it paid our former coach Bill Tucker.
I think
thank you.
I think it was the Michigan State game where they had the muff punt and Michigan State recovered it.
Oh yeah.
No, Alex, I take full responsibility. I jinxed that game. Because my mom came home from work and she's like, oh, like who's because my dad was downstairs, was in the kitchen. My mom was just getting off of work. She's like, oh, who's winning? I was like, oh, Michigan is winning it. It's over. They're about to put the ball back to Michigan State, but it has like a minute left or something like that. It was like less than like a minute.
Less than a minute.
That game is why I never feel comfortable punting at the end of a game anymore. It's just
and then she came downstairs.
He had trouble with the snap.
As she came to walk downstairs, all she seen was a Michigan State player in the end zone. She was like, I think they were winning. I was like, well, you were. No, you're not.
Yeah.
I got to get off the show. Hey, you have too much joy. I'm trying to say go Michigan, but I love that moment, and I know what that does to Michigan fans. So we got to go.
Again, like I said, we got that.
True. True. Yo, look, ladies and gentlemen, hey, with that does it. That is the end of this season. Alec, we're going to have you on here. Let's go ahead and end this thing the right way. Hey, we've never gone for one. We don't believe in that. Even some of our coaches, some of our coaches in the NFL don't believe for going for one. We decide to go for it. Yeah, buddy. Yo, and I'm going to start with it. Honestly, I love talking football. I love talking NFL football, but I love college. I love college and that time of the year and the bands going and the camaraderie and the fans and the new music and the noise and this back and forth. I love it. So I'm kind of depressed because this is the end of the college football season, but I have to pay homage to you two. I know we've done this before, but I love talking football with you guys. I love going back and forth. I love the rants. I love being able to have people come back and talk this stuff with us, man. So for this being the last episode of this season, thank y'all for being on here with me. And I look forward to the day when we can all catch some of these games live in person and just go off on that. So that's my going for 2. Alex, Mr. National Champ, what you got, man?
For me, just kind of to go off something I've said a few times before, and now that we're at the end of the season and obviously what happened this week, just savor every moment while you can, because I mean, for me, I was one of those people that was like, are we ever going to win the big one? And that was me being a Lions fan too. And I mean, losing half the roster potentially and half our coaching staff and all that, you kind of go back into that. Okay, when is the next time we'll be in this moment again? So live in the now, enjoy every moment while you've got it, because you might not get it again.
Oh, absolutely. Now you have the potential to have a great January and a great February. Your team stopped playing, but you know,
at the same time, for each. Even though, say, your Commanders have the record they're at, you still aren't going to have that collective group of guys, whether it's players, coaching staff, whatever, anymore.
Yeah.
So as a fan, just savor that moment, because you will never have this set group of individuals to cheer for ever again on the same group. So whether it's good, bad, ugly, just cherish it.
Appreciate it.
Because I mean, it could be worse. We could be in July and not have any football. So just whatever whatever situation you're going through, good, bad, ugly, like I said about Jack to his kids, who's got it better than us? Nobody. So just cherish whatever moment for what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Alec, what you got, man?
I just gotta say, I mean, to back what Alex said, I mean, he's absolutely right. Like, look at me. Next season, I don't have football next season. I have strictly out to sea. So appreciate these two people up here above me. Appreciate it while you have them during the season because they give the best analysis. They give me a little talk here and there. Say quack quack all the time, but you got
quack quack, baby, let's go.
you gotta appreciate the people in your life and everything you have while you have it. That's why I'm thankful that in my life, in the past 4 years, I think it was like 3 years when I first met Alex on NFL Edition.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that when I met you and Johnny, Ben, Scott, you too, even though you always give me problems, I'll give you credit on that one.
Yes.
And then that brought me, along with Sean and Nick and all them, Delilah and all them, at Let's Talk Football. So it's just like Let's Talk Football and NFL Edition. It's like one big family across the whole, scattered across the whole world. I'm just thankful to be a part of it.
Love it.
Because nothing beats that kind of that conversations you have every single week. Even if the group chats go a little off the rails, and we
literally,
and surprisingly haven't got canceled for that YouTube episode. Alex knows what I'm talking about.
Episode 56. Yep.
But yeah, that's all I gotta say on that.
I love it. Yeah. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. We're going to take a break. Let our man come down off of his cloud of basket in the championship. And we'll try to come into, once we get closer to the draft and the offseason and closer to spring ball, and get back to you and talking all that stuff. But we are done for the season. It has been an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to talk to you guys this whole entire season. You guys here with me and you guys in the crowd, for all of you that have joined us this year. We appreciate you. Happy college football. Go blue. Quack, quack. All our heels. Give it all. We're here for it, man. We will see y'all next time. Have a good off season, and we'll see y'all some later in the off season. I mean, you know what I mean. Here we go. Look forward to some mascot challenges. We need to bring that.
Oh, yeah. I'm bringing that back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. All right. Peace, people.
College Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer. Hey.